Hello, welcome to this week's video. This week we are helping Paddy and his son Cody mill some cypress timber. The cypress trees were cut down at the local race course. They formed an avenue at the race course and they were planted over 100 years ago, and they started to become unsafe. So Pat and Cody had them out at their place. On this day we were cutting 8 by 8 inch posts, or 200 mil by 200 mil posts, to form an arbour for a walking track around the racecourse in Kilmore. And after milling the logs, the posts were transported to the local men's shed, who cut out the mortise and tenons, and that enabled us to erect the arbour on a wet morning with the help of some of our boys. So earlier in the year, Pat had supplied timber from some of the other cypress trees for a footbridge and numerous seats along the walking track. So it's great to be able to recycle the old cypress trees into materials that are used back at the racecourse, and it's now been utilised by the wider community. So after we finished milling the timber, Pat gave me some burls that he'd been collecting. He's a local arborist, and so he had quite a collection of burls and pieces of wood. And so I picked out one, and after putting a faceplate on the back, I started to turn it. And it didn't take long to turn it down into a form of a bowl. And then after inspection, I felt that it wasn't good enough to continue turning. I believe that if I had have put resin in it, it would have been mainly a resin bowl, not a timber bowl. There was a fairly big void in the middle, so it took me about 15-20 minutes to really decide to give it away and put it in the fire and start on another one. So luckily Pat had given me a couple of burls, and so I mounted another one with a faceplate, and I removed the bark and started turning. And I was not happy with the alignment, and so I moved the faceplate. It was only a couple of inches, well, it might have been about an inch, and continued turning. And a little while later I was not happy, and I felt that it was off centre from the burl, and I wasn't getting all the wood that I should have. And so I relined it for the third time, and of course this time it worked out quite well. The idea behind this bowl was to try and use as much of the wood and not as much of the resin. So with the resin I mixed antique gold as the colour, and at the top I put a layer of white resin just to try and make a white band on the top lip, just to see if that would work. I tried it on another mistletoe bowl and it didn't work. So I thought I'd try it again and see how it went. So after a week of curing, we put it back on the lathe and finished it off using a round tipped carbine tool. The resin on this one had come off perfectly. There was no chips. There's no chips on it at all. It all come out in ribbons. So obviously I got the resin mix perfect. I picked the perfect day and I actually read the instructions, so I might have to do that again. Anyway, the burl was extremely dry, so after wet sanding I applied some restoring wax to the outside, and then on the inside I put some orange oil, and the bowl seemed to suck up the oil quite well. So I'm glad I realigned the blank, as the burl had some very nice grain, beautiful grain to it. It's a type of eucalyptus. I didn't get the name from Pat when I picked it up. I only know that it's from a eucalyptus tree, but it turned out very nicely, and I think I've got another 1 or 2 burls that Pat gave me, so I'll certainly be trying them over the next little while. Once I get back in the shed, it's been pretty cold out there at the moment, and so the fire's been on. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video. I'll see you next time. Cheerio.